Hello, welcome to episode 206 of Daryl Show Your Work. In this episode, I'll be auditing the security aspects of an AI model's ChromaDB vector database, looking for the presence of authentication mechanisms, exposure to sensitive documentations, and PII or any other private information. But before I get started, for anybody that may be looking for any sort of savings, for INE's multiple learning paths or certification offerings. You can get exclusive savings by applying my personal promo code, which is INF 100-Brooks Tech at the checkout. And that you'll receive 10% a 10% off of any of your purchases, with the exception of live virtual trainings. So to take advantage of that discount, go to get.ine.com/Daryl. Apply that a promo code at the checkout to receive your 10% off discount. All right, and that promo code and link will be in the show notes below. All right, so getting started here again. ChromaDB, it's a vector database, and essentially what that is, it's when an AI model uses the retrieval augmented generation, or otherwise known as a RAG. When it uses that to access external data sources, it breaks them down into chunks and saves them into a vector database. All right, so the first thing that I want to do here with the first command that I'm going to run is I want to be able to see what list out all available collections that are within this vector database. And when I say collections, these are think of them as groups that contain those data sources that the AI uses in order to give a response. So for example, let me go back here to the model, to Chatbot model. So the portion here that I have highlighted where it says sources, we can see three different documents here listed. All right, and so basically what the chatbot is telling us is that this answer is based on the information that it drew from these particular sources. But all of these sources are stored under one particular collection within the vector database. So I want to see, well, how many of these collections are present within the vector database. All right, so I have quite a few commands written out here. It's just so I'm not fumbling any of the syntax here. All right, so this first command I'm going to run is going to list out all available collections within the Chroma DB vector database, so I know exactly how much I'm dealing with. So this may come out kind of sloppy, but I'll explain what's going on in the output. All right, so the main thing to pay attention to here is right here at HR documents. So we've seen this in the previous, more recent videos I've done when I've been working with this AI model, and this is the HR documents collection. So that's what the three information sources that we saw listed out here within the AI model's response, so the chat box's response. They're all housed under HR documents. However, just because those three are listed under this one collection doesn't mean they're the only three. Those are just the three that it used in order to give the response that it gave. So the next thing I want to do is I'm going to use this the associated collection ID. All right, I'm going to use that with another command, and I want to basically be able to see, well, how many data sources are listed within this one HR documents collection. All right, so this plugging this ID into the command is going to basically going to enable um, Linux to tell me that, and I've already have it plugged in here to this next command. So I've already done that portion of it. So let's copy that and let's clear this out just so it's nice and clean and we know exactly what information we're looking at here. All right, so again, this is going to give me a total count of the amount of data sources that's located within the HR document collection here within the vector database. All right, so it may not be real easy to see, but the output here, I have it highlighted, is 15. So we know that there are 15 data sources that the chatbot could potentially pull from in order to give us an answer within the HR documents collection. All right, so the next thing that I want to do is I want to be able to retrieve all of those documents along with their metadata, and I'm going to save it to a JSON document. So let's go back here, and I'm going to run this command. Right, and let's paste that into the terminal. Let's clear this. All right. Okay, so what this is going to do, it's going to pull all 15 of those documents and their associated metadata into a JSON formatted document. All right, and that document is going to be named all docs.json. All right, so let's run that. All right, so this verified that that was saved into my current working directory. I'm gonna do a list command. All right, and we can see all docs .json is indeed present there. All right, so what this next command is, this is going to actually be able to, hopefully in a very neat human readable format, going to allow me to view all of those documents. All right, so and then let me, because sometimes, but give me a minute. Yeah, sometimes Linux doesn't like spaces, so let's bridge as many of these spaces as we can so I'm not getting any errors when running this. There we go. And then let's move you one line up. There we go. Okay. Now let's copy this. Let's paste that there. So again, what this command is going to do, and like I said, hopefully in a nice human readable format, it's going to return the list of those documents, those data sources that are within the HR document. Is going to return for me those sources along with any metadata associated with them. All right, so let's run that. All right, so we can see all 15 of the data sources. All right, most are public, a couple are internal, but we have a major problem here is that 3 are confidential. So this is the problem when we don't have any authentication mechanism to as far as accessing the ChromaDB vector database. Well, then if anybody can pretty much access that, according to this, they can access 3 confidential documents here. All right, so that would be the salary information, compensation claims, and termination records, and they can have all sorts of PII in them. All right. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to be able to test for that, to be able to search these documents for any PII or other sensitive information that may be present in them. Because again, at the end of the day, if my job is to test this and to make sure that it's ready for a public rollout or even internal rollout within the company, we don't want any sort of confidential information spillage to be out there or to be possible or mitigated as much as possible. All right. So the next command here, let me go here and copy this. All right. So what this next command is going to do, it's going to look inside of the this JSON document that I have all 15 of these data sources listed in, and it's going to search for social security number patterns, all right, to verify the presence of social security numbers. All right, so those who see my previous video may already know how this is going to turn out, but let's run it anyway. And we can see here that we have quite a few social security numbers. So we don't necessarily have the identities they're associated with, but that's still concerning enough that I can run a command like this and be able to pull social security numbers from these data sources. All right, more than likely, it's coming from these three confidential one or multiple of the three confidential data sources. All right. And so I'm going to run another command here. And I believe this one is going to tell me what the compensate, it's going to give me compensation information here for employees. All right. So again, it's going to search the JSON document for any sort of anywhere where it sees the word salary or compensation or social security number. It's going to try to associate all of those, all of that metadata with some identities and try to allow me to view that information. So let's see what happens. All right, so we actually have the identities of the people that they're associated that this information is associated with. So, for example, Sarah Johnson, this is her social security number. All right, Marcus Williams, this is his social security number, and so on. All right, and then compensation. All right, we can see salary information here for Sarah Johnson right here. She makes 142,000, 155,000. All right, so we know she makes somewhere between that, and then we can see Social Security number and a salary compensation information for it looks like Robert Chin. All right, so just going through this file, we can now add an actual identity, an employee identity with the social security number and also how much money they're being compensated with, at least the compensation range. All right. So again, not good. So this is already failing the security audit. And I'm gonna run one last command here. And this should be able to look for any sort of anything that would be able to identify their personal address or phone number. And let's see if we can find that information. So let me clear this. All right, let's see what we can find. All right, and then again, we have phone numbers. All right, so that's not a personal phone number, but let's see. We have an address here, and so we have an employee, Maria Gonzalez, and we have her social security number. We have her, it looks like we have her, what the date of the injury, and we have her address here, and we have her phone number. Ton of information that regular users should not be able to have, whether they're employees or somebody that maybe breached the system. This is a huge breach of PII, regardless. All right, so this the ChromaDB database or the overall the chat boxes um backend security definitely fails to audit here. But here's some recommended remediations. All right, so what can be added is an authentication and then removing the unauthenticated access to the collection management endpoints and to secure the Chroma DB API. And then we can implement PII redaction at the logging layer. So user social security numbers, salaries, addresses, and contact information are never written to the Elasticsearch database. All right, and then we can restrict a RAG document access, so confidential HR documents containing the PII are not retrievable by all users through the chat interface. So these are just a few things we can apply here to prevent to add a layer of security to the AI model and to the chatbot, and not and to reduce or mitigate the chances of any sort of data spillage. All right, so please like, share, and subscribe. Most importantly, show your work. Be sure to take advantage of 10% discount on any of your purchases, for the exception of live virtual trainings, by going to get.ine.com/Daryl and using product code INF 100 Brooks Tech. All right, and you get your 10% savings there. And until next time, take care of yourself and God bless.